up and welcome. I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome to a video I didn't think I was going to do. Honestly, I sat down today to record the Sounders career. You can see I've got the hat on, I was ready to go, but I was sitting here kind of looking at where we are in the league and what this team is looking like, and just kind of how I was evaluating kind of how this series was going. And the more I thought about it, and you've noticed I haven't uploaded this series in a while. I haven't even played this series in like 4 days. And it's because it's just too easy. This series is not competitive at all, and I kind of thought it might be that way when we decided to go for a season number 2 with the Sounders. I knew what the team was going to be like, and I knew who was going to be on it and how it was going to play. Didn't expect it to be this ridiculously imbalanced. And honestly, at the point it's at, there is no point in going forward anymore. And I'm going to show you exactly kind of my whole thought process that I was going throughout this whole thing. And we're going to get to a resolution at the end of this video as well. So hear me out on what I'm about to say right here, because this is actually kind of important. So this is our season right now with the Sounders. Here's the league table. You saw at the end of last episode, we sit with 12 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. That 1 loss was the second game of the season, after which we proceeded to go on an 11-game win streak until the last game of last episode, where we drew with RSL in a simulation. 11 games in a row, of which I played most of them, simulated a couple, and we won every game, and none of them were really even all that close. We are absolutely slapping teams around, and with the team that we have built, that is absolutely realistic. We should be beating these teams with no problem, and that's how this season has played out. Once I found the rhythm with this team, there is nobody that's going to touch us. If I play every game the rest of this season, we will win every game the rest of this season, cruise to an MLS Cup, win the Supporter Shield and the US Open Cup, complete the treble, no problem. There's honestly, I mean, like, seriously, what's the point? That's what I'm getting at, essentially. What is the point of continuing to play? I love the Sounders. I love the MLS. I want to do this series, but in the state that it's in, there is no way to do this series and keep it competitive. Unless you want to see me absolutely, give the willy to every team we play and slap every MLS team around the pitch in every single game, then this whole series has kind of become pointless. And the MLS itself is just not a viable option for a career mode series anymore. Now, when I say that it's not an option, here is really the evidence behind what I'm talking about, okay? Here are the potential job openings right now in the MLS. So if we continued on with our plan of finishing this season with Seattle and moving to a new MLS team, here's kind of what we'd be looking at here. And specifically, look at the transfer budgets for these teams. Columbus has nearly $15 million in their transfer budget. New England, $15 million, $16 million, $14 million, $20 million, $15 million, $17 million, $20 million. Every team has between $15 and $20 million in their transfer budget, which, that's part of the problem. No team in the MLS should have that kind of a transfer budget. It just does not make sense. No team in this league would spend that much money in a transfer window. League rules pretty much prohibit that they do that anyway. So the fact that they have those transfer budgets doesn't make sense. And if we were to take a job with one of these teams, we're gonna be facing the same problem we have in Seattle, where we can take that money and do anything we want, literally buy any players we want, and still abide by that designated player rule and end up with the same team we have right now in Seattle. It's just a repeating cycle. Like, what's the point? Again, what's the point of doing that when we're end up in the same position we're in right now with Seattle? Yeah, it might be a competitive series for 1 year, but after that, we're going to have an OP team and just roll over everybody, with the exception of the Seattle team we built. They would all obviously still be a problem unless they sell off all their good players in one transfer window, which is honestly the way this game is built, very, very likely. And it's not even just the money that's the problem. Honestly, it's not even just the money. If every team has this money, if every team spent a little bit of that money, then it would still be competitive and still be a viable option for a career mode series. But the game is made, I think it's the coding, if anything, it's made so that MLS teams do not buy players, no matter how much money you give them. Look at FIFA 16, where teams got financial takeovers and had $100 million sitting in their transfer budget. 2 teams had that. When we did the Orlando series in FIFA 16, they bought nobody. They actually bought no players. With $100 million, they bought no players. And so it doesn't matter how much money you give them. MLS teams will never buy players. And until that component of the game is fixed, there is no point in doing an MLS career mode, because it absolutely will never be competitive unless you buy no players, which would make the series completely pointless anyway. Then the whole series is just going to become imbalanced in less than 2 seasons. And your series is going to be over. There really is no point, unless you want to build a ridiculously good team and roll over everybody, then there really is no point. So my next thought was, okay, let's end this series, and maybe we'll do like a League of the Americas like we did with FC Dallas, and we'll take a couple of MLS teams, some, Liga MX teams, some teams from Brazil, Argentina, Chile, put them all in a league, and we'll do it that way. That way we can still have the MLS and it will still be competitive, but it won't be competitive for the MLS teams. Again, if you look at that series we did with Dallas in the League of the Americas, the MLS teams were awful because they did not upgrade their rosters, refused to buy players. So it doesn't matter where you put the MLS teams, the fact that they are still MLS teams and they're still coded to not buy players means that they will struggle no matter where you put them. So even doing that kind of a series with more than one MLS team that you control is absolutely pointless. So if you're going to do a series with an MLS team, you really would have to take that team and put them in a league, take them by themselves and move them somewhere else, to England, Germany, anywhere else by themselves, and do a series like that. That is literally the only way to make it competitive with these teams. And especially with the money that you're given, $20 million in your transfer budget. What is the point of having that money in the MLS? It really doesn't make sense. But if you were to take that $20 million transfer budget and take it to England, where that's pretty much an average transfer budget, then you're talking about a competitive series, and a series that would make sense, where you can buy players and the teams around you are buying players and improving their rosters, and it's a competitive series. But honestly, the MLS in FIFA 17, especially with the way the money works, which is absolutely the money in FIFA 17, the budgets are broken. More than any FIFA game I've seen ever, the money is broken, and it has absolutely rendered the MLS completely useless. There is no way to do an MLS series, in my opinion, in FIFA 17. Absolutely none. So I guess the question really is, at this point, where do we go from here? What are we gonna do? I mean, do we continue the series? Do we not? And I guess there's really 3 different options for us to look at. Option number 1 would be to continue the series as we were doing, finish the season with Seattle, and if we were to do that, I would simulate the majority of the remainder of the regular season, because like I said, there's no point in playing it. We take that title, or try to get that title at the end of the season, move to a new MLS team after that, try to rebuild that team, maybe win a title with them, and move on once more. Maybe keep that series going, bouncing around from MLS team to MLS team, trying to rebuild different franchises. I guess that's an option. Honestly, that one doesn't sound too appealing to me, just because of what I talked about regarding the MLS. I'm not even sure it's really a point in doing that, but that is an option. Option number 2, as we have another look at the potential job openings available to us right now, would be to leave Seattle immediately, right now, before we play another game, and go to Portugal. There are some jobs available in Portugal that are open to us. We move there, whether it's to Benfica or Porto or Sporting or any of these teams that have availabilities in Portugal. Take control of that team, try to build that into a winner at some level, whether it's a league title or competing in the Champions League or whatever, and then look to move to another bigger team a little bit later on and make this more about a manager career rather than about a team, and keep going until we're at one of the bigger teams in the world, maybe managing Manchester United or Real Madrid or somebody like that. I've never tried that before, and that would probably be a pretty lengthy career mode series as well. So it's something to keep in mind, and it's definitely an option. And option number 3 is to pull the plug. Kill the series right here, right now. End it, start fresh with a new save, a new series, a new team somewhere else in the world. Whether it's taking control of a team in England in the championship, I know a couple people said they'd like to see me try that, or whether it's something I mentioned a little bit earlier where we take an MLS team and move them to a new league and trying an MLS series in that fashion I don't know, but option 3 would be to kill this series right here, right now, and start fresh somewhere else. So those are really the 3 options that I'm going to be mulling over for the next day or so. And I'll probably make my decision and upload a video on Sunday about what we're going to be doing. Right now, as I'm recording this, it's actually Friday. I was recording, like I said, I sat down to record a Sounders episode today for Saturday. And obviously, that's just not going to happen now. And yeah, on Sunday, I'll make my decision, make a quick video telling you what we're going to be doing and how we're going to proceed. And then after that, we'll move forward with however I decide. I do want to hear you guys' input before I do make that decision, though, to kind of see what you guys are thinking. But ultimately, I will be making this decision because right now, the way that this Sounder series has gone from the very beginning, I have not enjoyed it. And I really hate to say that because, you know, like I said, I love the Sounders. I love the MLS. I wanted so badly for this series to work. I was really, really looking forward to it. But it's just not possible, and that kills me. That actually, like, that nearly brings me to tears. I'm that upset that this series hasn't worked out the way I wanted to, and the realization that it's impossible to do an MLS series really, really tears me apart, and I hate that, and I hate having to admit that and say those words. But yeah, so I'm gonna make this decision, and I'm gonna you know, take you guys' input into account as I do make this decision, but I don't know how we're going to proceed. Like I said, I'll take a few days to think about it, and I'll let you know on Sunday. So that's it for this one. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down below, and I'll see you guys on Sunday.